Hello class, this is a presentation relating to Chapter 1 of ICD-10 PCS and Applied Approach textbook. This is focused on code building and the process of going through code assignment. In the beginning of this class, you will have very short clinical information from which you will be coding. As you move further into the course, you will be given longer information and operative notes, which would be the typical location of where you would get your clinical information for ICD-10 PCS code assignment. Again, ICD-10 PCS would be assigned for procedures that are done for a patient while they are classified as an inpatient in an acute care hospital typically. But right now in Chapter 1, at the end of Chapter 1, you have several exercises that are non-graded, but you should be going through the steps. Coding is about a process. You do the same process no matter what the length is of the clinical documentation, whether it's a short one sentence or an entire 3 or 4 or 5 page operative note. So this presentation will review Chapter 1, Code Building Exercise Number 1. The complete answers for all of the exercises in this particular area, which includes 1, 2, 3, and 4, is provided for you in your course. And I believe they also are provided, the odd ones are provided in the back of the textbook. So for this first exercise, this is a page from the textbook. This is again Chapter 1, Code Building Exercise Number 1. At the end of Chapter 1, it is assumed that you have read Chapter 1 and gone through the other exercises before this. For this exercise, you were given basically one sentence. The patient has a total laparoscopic cholecystectomy, and the assignment is then to code that, answer the questions, and to provide the final 7-character ICD-10 PCS code that would identify that procedure being done. When you look at the terminology, the patient had a total laparoscopic cholecystectomy, total meaning the entire cholecystectomy. Cholecyst was removed, and a cholecysto is a gallbladder. So this patient had their entire gallbladder removed. It was removed via a laparoscopic procedure. So in ICD-10 PCS, when we remove an entire organ, we call that resection, and that would be the root operation. Again, you have root operation definitions in the beginning of Chapter 1. You also have them listed for you in your ICD-10 PCS official code set, which I call the coding manual. And again, we are removing all of a body part, in this case the gallbladder, so the definition of resection is cutting out or off without replacement all of a body part. When a patient's gallbladder is removed, in this case a total gallbladder, and there is nothing being replaced. So again, the root operation is resection. That would also be the main term that you would look in the index of the ICD-10 PCS coding manual. The subterm would be the anatomical location, which is gallbladder. This is a scanned page from the ICD-10 PCS Draft Coding Manual 2013 edition. You can use the 2013 or the 2014. This is the index, the alphabetic index. We're under the main term of resection. That is the answer to number 1.1. Then we're looking for resection of what? Resection of the gallbladder, because that is the anatomical organ that is removed. Resection, then gallbladder. you are given 4 characters. The first 3 characters are referencing to a code table. OFT is the code table. Because you have indexed to an anatomical location, you are given the character that responds to that or reflects that, which is the 4th character, which in this case is the character value of 4. So you are given 0FT4. That is the beginning of a code. That is not an entire code. There are some cases, as you can see, that you are given a complete 7-character code, but a lot of times, probably 8 out of 10 times, when you're at the index, you are only given part of a code, and you must go to the table to finish your code. Also, I would encourage you, if you are ever given a complete code, as in this case you have femur, upper femur resection, you have a complete code given to you for left and right, I would encourage you, as you are learning PCS, to go to the table and verify all of the digits and character values, because you want to make sure all the options are correct based on your clinical documentation. But for this particular case, we are not given a complete code, so we have no choice. We have to go to the table to complete our code. You would then flip to the table in the index in your coding manual. In this case, I scanned it in, so it happens to be the next page, but it would actually be many, many pages ahead of this in the actual coding manual. Again, we're looking for OFT. That is the code table we were given in the index. We were also given the 4th character, which is the body part character value, which is 4 for gallbladder. Then we have to look at the next character, which is approach. Again, the patient is noted as having a laparoscopic procedure. If you go back to chapter 1, you look under the section where your author talks about the surgical approaches. You'll see in figure 1.2, she gives you a picture of a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, and then on the following page she talks about percutaneous endoscopic, which is entry by puncture or minor incision of instrumentation through the skin or mucous membrane and any other body layers necessary to reach and visualize the site of the procedure. An arthroscopic knee repair or a laparoscopic cholecystectomy are types of percutaneous endoscopic approaches. So this is a endoscopic approach, and it's percutaneous. There are small incisions made, and then the instruments are inserted. This is not an open procedure, and so the choice would be 4 for approach character value. You also must stay in the same row going across. So because your body part value was 4, gallbladder here, you must continue across and stay in the same row. You cannot choose 4 and then go down to the row below that. You would have to stay in the row going straight across. Character value approach, again, surgical approach is character 5, which is the character value is 4. The next character is device. There is only one option, which is Z in this case. In this case, they did use devices, but they did not leave those devices in the patient at the conclusion of the procedure. Those devices were only used to complete the operation. Therefore, per ICD-10 PCS guidelines, the use of the device is not reflected in the final code. We only reflect the device if it is left in the patient at the conclusion of the procedure, such as the leaving in of a screw or a plate or some type of material like a mesh material. The other reason we would reflect a device here would be if we are removing a device. So if we had a fracture in the past, had a screw placed in the past, and today we were taking that screw out, then we would be coding a device removal. But in this case, there's no device left in the patient, and there's no option on the table. So you have no choice but to use Z for your 6th character value. Also, for this particular table and this particular row, there is no device character value for qualifier. So again, you have no option but to use Z for your final code character. So therefore you are left with a final code of 0FT44ZZ. This is the 7-character code that you would reflect in answer 1.7. Also note how the code is written. It is a 0, that is not a capital O. There are no capital O's in ICD-10 PCS codes. They're all zeros. So that's 0FT, F and T are in capital letters. 44ZZ, ZZ are in capital letters. It would be incorrect to write lowercase. Codes are correctly written in uppercase alpha characters. Again, this is how the code would be reported, how it would be recorded in the Health Information Management Department in the coding area. This is how it would be reported on the billing side for the medical claim. The information below here is for your learning information. This is the definition of what all those characters mean. Again, 0FT is the table. 0 is identifying it belongs to the medical and surgical section. F tells us which body system. T tells us this is a resection code for that particular body system. 4 is identifying the specific body part. Again, in this case, it's a gallbladder, which is what this cholecystectomy means. The second 4 in the 5th place is the approach, the surgical approach for percutaneous endoscopic. That relates back to laparoscopic. And then Z and Z for no device and no qualifier. Again, this is what you would put in 1.7. Again, as you scroll down through lesson 1, the answers for this exercise are located here. And again, the breakdown is here. And then you have the other 4 exercises for this particular code building exercise at the end of chapter 1. You have there's 2 codes required, exercise number 3 and exercise number 4. If you have any questions on this video, you can post here. And again, this is in lesson 2. Again, you should be going through all of this before you submit your quiz for lesson 2. And again, the code building process is very similar as you move through all of the exercises in this class, beginning with one sentence or what we call one-liner exercise. You would still follow the same procedure moving through and a full operative report. If you have any questions on this video, again, or comments, please post the lesson 2 or send me an email through the course through Gmail, which is here, accessed here in the upper left-hand side block. Thank you.